As somebody with a troubled past, drawn into the spotlight of a story already begun. We're already at a crossroads. Choosing a path in life is that fork in the road where you make a choice or simply stop living. But for you, it's not only a crossroad, but a choice. A reflection of your key, the primal energy that flows through everything.
Your inner voice, to be precise. An echo.
So glad you realize who you really are. Let's keep to the bright and better path moving on.
You can't contradict yourself like that. You made the right choice to begin with. Why would you change your mind?
Because you can't deny what's deep within your heart. Sometimes a thought is just a thought. In the end, it's the way you act that counts.
But remember, this is just the beginning of the end. Eventually, it'll be my way or the highway.
Stories of death and the bodies left behind, a reminder that we're at the mercy of nature and the one that preys on others. Remember the beast that shattered your family, or did you choose to forget? You turned your back on our world and got lost in your own. Meanwhile, the predator only grew stronger. Toxanol built vessels called arks to save themselves from the impending doom. But was it too late? It is only from the flight logs of the single ark they left behind that we know other arks traveled through the sky and beyond. It seems those that came before us never lost hope in finding a new home. There are few records of the chain of events that led to the big apocalypse eons ago, but it's clear the world wasn't prepared for how recklessly the Toxanol Corporation would make its mark on the world. Their rare earth mining and nuclear industries generated tons of waste, and, without consideration for the future, they dumped it all in landfills until they ran out of space. That's when they made the big mistake. They began dumping the toxic waste in the surf just off the coast instead, assuming that it would sink and decay with time. And they were right, but no one was prepared for what was about to unfold. Once in the surf, the radiation interfered with the genetics of the wildlife and created bizarre mutations in their offspring. It had an inconceivable impact on biodiversity and the entire ecosystem. The world as they knew it crumbled as nature retaliated. It would never be the same again, and what remained of it became ours. The sound of spark metal going pew-pew is never a good thing. It's coming from behind that door. He wants to thank you for taking his side against the scavengers. He sounds familiar. You just can't figure out why. He presents himself as out of date. He knows he's way overdue, but he hasn't given up. He doesn't seem surprised that you don't recognize him. You were just a child back then, the night everything changed. There have been rumors of a one-eyed Ronin seen outside the Great Wall, and he's happy to see it's true. The legend of the one-eyed child that grew up as an outcast is old and sad. The child could have been anyone, but the evil it had fled had left a mark, a facial scar to remember the past. It's a scar you're covering under that eye patch, isn't it? But he would have recognized you anyways. You look exactly like your Muma.
Nuburak valu alu herwa.
There's no doubt you're the child, and that what Looper Lupin did to your village, your Mooma and Popsy, was the beginning of the end.
Ya Yumawa, Kim Hobe Bekuku, Hifad Muk.
He says it has taken you a long time to bring the past back up to the present, to find your way back, but he's grateful you have.
Ya Muluwando.
It was after the attack that the unity fell apart. Your Mooma's disciples divided and formed tribes as a reaction to the blight that had fallen upon the land.
Fabube, Muk Kufar, Kim Hobe Bekuku, Hifad Muk.
After the old village was destroyed and you disappeared, a struggle between the families erupted, and over time, the disciples turned against each other.
Kuchai, Hifar Befar, Ulumawanya.
Had it not been for the Tree of Life, no one would have survived. He hopes you at least remember the tree. Asks if you are tired, as it's a bit of a hike here from the village. He wonders if your Mooma knows you are here.
Yeah.
You're such a good child, so you probably did. Even the young forget. He understands why you came all the way out here, to see them, the potato people. The potato people, or Nono, are a wonder, somehow interlinked with this little tree here, fueling its source of life. Magic? He claims it's just the force of life, the existence of energy, powering and connecting all things living, like the Nono. The Nono prefer to hide in glitter grass. He says you should get over there and ruffle it. You've found one. You should be proud. They don't come out for everyone. The Nono's key energy is just what the Pensai needs to complete its cycle and grow into a tree of life. Only time will tell. At least his intention is to dedicate his life to it. He has the feeling the fate of the world depends on it. You'll need to support the tree for a long time to come. The only way it'll grow tall is with the burst of ki released from the Nono as they become one with the tree. You'll need a net to catch the Nono, and he wants you to use his, but asks you to be gentle. The Nono are sensitive beings, an embodiment of ki, the primal energy. You handle that net like you've never done anything else. He's impressed. He's grateful for all the help he can get. There's lots of Nono out there that need to be guided to the roots of the Pensai tree. Oh, it'll need a continuous flux of ki over the 12 months to come, so countless, he'd say. One day, he hopes the tree will have grown tall enough to sustain the world. But today, your focus is getting this one to become one with the tree. Now that you've seen the Nono's connection with the tree with your own eyes, you have no reason to doubt. From this day on, he'll make nurturing the Pensai into a tree of life, a life goal, not only for our village's sake, but for all of us, everyone. One day, the land won't be as peaceful. Not even your Mooma will be able to protect us. You can already see the effects from how reckless those before us acted, and unless something changes, we're doomed. The land won't survive the side effects of the old world's industrial advances. He says you'd better hurry back to the village before your Mooma comes looking for you. You did good. No, she's got lots on her mind and needs rest after the raid last night on the Lupin camp with her disciples. Wonders if they let the Predator family live or not. He lost you there for a while, but no memory is alone. It's part of a trail you can follow. He says he remembers every single day he devoted to growing the Tree of Life, but now he's afraid it might be in vain. The tree started to die when the end of days begun, and it wasn't Leeds' help defeating the jumbo puff at the end of the West Route. Wiz is still repairing his octopod to confront the Merc puff that dwells deep down under the surface at the end of the Northwest Route. Nocco has tamed the Midget and is preparing to take on the Hoof puff at the end of the East Route. Finally, Goop is almost done with the Goo Glide, a machine able to ride the waves of the surf all the way out to the Porky Puff at the end of the route to the southeast. Out of Date says his friends are gearing up to stop the World Eaters. There's one at the end of each route. The road ahead won't be easy, but he's counting on your support. His friends aren't strong enough to end this on their own. He wants you to understand that you'll all die if the tree isn't saved. His friends have prepared something specific for each World Eater. The Mekton, the Octopod, the Majute, and the Goo Glide are almost ready to ride. Regardless, you'll meet again once you've played your part in the tribe war and the situation with the World Eaters. Knows you'll make a better stand against the World Eaters with the support of a tribe, and there's two nearby. The Jagni tribe is likely to be your primary choice as they seek to become omnipresent and, most importantly, feared. Regardless of who you choose, it won't be easy, as the conflict between the tribes is worse than ever, teetering on the brink of war. Conviction to stop the World Eaters began when the Leviathans rose from the depths of the surf. Siding with the Myriad's movement for wholeness in a fragmented world might seem like the logical thing to do, but is it the right thing? One thing's certain, though. Destiny arrives all the same. The Jagni tribe only ever had one conviction: to bring balance to the world by wiping out the weak. They believe a cleansing is necessary to restore the world and want to let the World Eaters bring down the Tree of Life. But siding with Jagni isn't necessarily a bad thing. Fate will find a way. Out of Date says someone needs to break the stalemate and shift the balance of power to either Jagni's or Myriad's side. He believes the tribe Sifus, Jagni especially, will listen to you and expects you to pay at least one of them a visit and play your part. In Jagni's case, letting the World Eaters bring down the Tree of Life is part of their plan. They believe a cleansing is the only way the world can be saved.
He far he kobo farm.
He'll be waiting for you beneath the Tree of Life if you lose track of what you need to do.
The water. Yatu yao mawa. Bubuko vun vun.
Regardless, you'll meet again once you've played your part in the tribe war and the situation with the World Eaters. Thinks you should just put one paw ahead of the other and make your way up there. The tribe is always open to a new face.
Zata is the muy totloho. Kariesne zdace. Paro, ya put.
The Jagni tribe wants to become omnipresent and, most importantly, feared. They want to vanquish the tribes, as the only way they can guarantee peace is through supremacy. The Sifu is determined to let the World Eaters destroy the Tree of Life, as it's part of their strategy to cleanse the world and start anew. He welcomes you to the Jagni fort and introduces himself as the tribe's Sifu. The news of a cold-blooded Ronin crossing the Great Wall through the crack in Bunker 101 preceded you. He's referring to your rampage through Bunker 101. It seems you don't mind a bit of blood on your hands. That's something you have in common. He understands that sometimes we need to lose ourselves to find ourselves. But he's glad you chose to come here. There's something about your spirit that sparks memories of you as a kidling. He can still sense you're kind-hearted. Sometimes one memory can make another come to life. He hasn't thought about your Muma for ages, even though she taught him a lot. He was one of the original Wang Fu disciples. There were 6 of them, but the unity fell apart after Lupa Lupin attacked the old village. Soon after, they formed new tribes based on their own values, and when the Blight started, the animosity escalated to war. The Sifu says it's time to set the past aside, at least for now. Unrest is sweeping the land, and there are rivals in all directions. Jagni doesn't want a new unity between the tribes. Their goal is to become omnipresent and, most importantly, feared. Says fear and hatred is the only path to domination, but you already know that. So embracing that side of you and helping them vanquish the tribes and letting the World Eaters destroy the Tree of Life should be an easy decision. He didn't expect that of you. You were born bad so you could do good in this world. That weak mind of yours has made you soft. He'll give you a chance to change your mind before you leave and asks you to reconsider. Otherwise, you'll be seen as a rival. He can see you're a free spirit, so he'll let you in. The Sifu is always interested in meeting someone open to joining their cause.
Sibi? La fanen agin kalman. Gerat na falo hutut mus. Tugai la wute.
The Myriad tribe act on understanding of the greater good and a code of honor. They believe uniting the tribes is the only way to restore the peace. The Sifu is convinced that defeating the World Eaters and saving the Tree of Life is the only way to make the world a better place. He welcomes you to the Myriad Fort and introduces himself as the tribe's Sifu.
Keraga denken hiram.
But he was hoping you'd show up. The news of a vigilante Ronin on crusade crossing the Great Wall through the crack in Bunker 101 has preceded you.
Dari genken ala tu ba jako denken karap la wute.
He heard you took out-of-date side against the scavengers in Bunker 101. It seems you believe in helping your next, and that's something you have in common.
Bro plach.
He's convinced you've returned for a reason, and is glad you chose to come here.
Volo matati. Saramoto.
There's something about your spirit that sparks memories of you as a kidling. He can still sense you're kind-hearted.
Wa pala misa. Waka lo sada. Kerat na falo hutut.
The Sifu says sometimes one memory can make another come to life. He hasn't thought about your Muma for ages, even though she taught him a lot. He was one of the original Wang Fu disciples.
Dir vuru vusa hat. Volo matati. What?
Your Muma invented Wang Fu. Originally, it consisted of unarmed combat and the 6 weapons: the boomerang, the shuriken, the bow, the staff, the nunchuk, and the hook and chain. The Sifu was waiting for something to tip the balance in their favor, and with you by their side, he's confident you can unite the other tribes. The one you should